Alright, so a week from now, my friends and I are heading to the Dominican Republic. And a couple of days ago, I was going through some of my old vacations, pictures, and videos, and I kind of just realized how much life has changed over the past 5 years. And it's not even just vacations, even the little trips that I've taken with my friends kind of represent a different version of myself. So I'm gonna run through those while I get everything ready. You guys can watch. And yes, if you notice something different, I took my hair out. So in those first couple of clips, I had my hair in braids. I had to take it out because I'm going on vacation, so I had to get my hair done. So yeah, combed it out. This is how my hair's gonna be for the rest of the video. Alright, so everything started in December of 2021. This was a really special year because this was the first time leaving the country after COVID. And after being inside for so long, just planning the trip, being at the airport, everything felt so exciting. So this was the first time I traveled and I left the country with my girlfriend. And looking back at it, it's weird because we're both still trying to figure life out. This was also the same year that I changed college programs. So before, I went to school for aviation, and then I switched to marketing. And 2021 was the year that I changed. I was in a new school, everything. So yeah, a lot of changes in my life. Mentally, I was in a kind of a weird spot. Just because I didn't really know what my future was gonna look like, right? Everything was changing in front of my eyes, so that felt weird. That was my first time also staying at an all-inclusive resort, which was really cool. I had a lot of family coming from like Canada, to Jamaica because it was right after COVID, right? So we all went to link up and kind of get back home. Then in 2022, we, as in my girlfriend and I, we went back to Jamaica again. But this time we went with my family and we went for my grandfather's birthday. Now this trip felt way different. We stayed at an Airbnb instead of a resort, so it was a little bit more relaxed and it felt like I was actually living on the island. And yeah, it was just a lot slower in terms of like activities and stuff. So met up with a lot of cousins from England for the first time, which was cool. I got to spend like a good amount of time at my grandfather's house, which is at a really remote part of the island, so that was interesting. But after 2022, we knew we needed a break from Jamaica, so we want to explore, and that's exactly what we did in 2023. So yeah, in 2023, my girlfriend and I we want to switch things up, so we decided on Mexico during reading week, and this was in October of 2023. Now this trip was a lot different because this was the year that everything started changing for me. So the year that I realized what I wanted to do career wise, and even though I didn't have everything figured out, I kind of had a plan in place, which was really cool. This was also my first time traveling somewhere besides America or Jamaica. Mexico was a complete different vibe. The resort was absolutely huge. It was almost too big, honestly. We had to take a shuttle everywhere we went, but it was nice experiencing it. It was really hot when we went. And yeah, it was also really fun going somewhere else other than where we're used to. Overall, that was a good trip. I'd go back. I do want to go back to Mexico. And around this time is when like I knew that I need to travel more often. I knew that like once a year if I could, I'd want to travel. Just because there's so much out there and going somewhere else is different. It's cool and I like experiencing new places. Now 2024, this was probably one of the biggest and best travel years of my life. This was the year I graduated from my program. So after spending 3.5 years of my program, my girlfriend and I decided on Dominican Republic. We stayed at Rio Republica, the ultimate party hotel from my grad trip. And yeah, this was the most fun vacation I've ever had. And I think part of the reason it felt so good was because school was finally over. I was done with my program. Not that I didn't like my program, but at this point I was just finished. Like I want to be done. I want to start my career. Assignments, everything was out the way. No more tests, no more stress of school. I finally felt free. And I thought that life was about to take off after graduation. So I was looking forward to everything that came after I finished school. Which is actually really funny looking back at it because things did not work out that way. And I'll probably make another video talking about that period because that was really interesting. Went through some rough times. But yeah, at that moment, I felt like the world was in my hands and I was ready for it. We loved Dominicans so much that in April of 2025, my girlfriend and I, we went back to the Dominican Republic, but this time we went with her family. And this was a different vibe than a grad trip. It was a lot more chill. We stayed at a family resort instead of Rio Republica, the party resort. And we also got to explore outside the resort more and try Dominican food. So when we were at Rio Republica, we did some excursions, but we weren't able to walk around in the Dominican Republic. It's more so just going on those excursions and doing what that had to offer. But when we stayed at this family resort, we were able to walk around like the streets, try Dominican food, and actually like talk to the local people, go into stores, etc. And honestly, that ended up being some of my favorite memories of that trip. Because I feel like once you start leaving the resort and seeing the area around you, the trip feels more real. And during this time, I needed that break, honestly. I was stressed, trying to figure things out in Canada. I was trying to figure out my work, my future, everything. So being away from all of that for a little bit with my girlfriend and her family helped me a lot mentally. So I'm finally halfway done my packing. But I just want to jump in and say that it wasn't just trips outside the country either. Especially after COVID, me and my friends, we want to start taking these little trips together. So this also started in 2021. Me and my friends started taking little trips together too. Which is funny because growing up, we never really had to plan to see each other. We all went to the same high school, we all worked at the same job, and we all lived pretty close to each other. So hanging out just happened naturally. I had a car, so anytime I wanted to, I could literally just go over to their area. The three of them, they lived in the same place, so I could just go over there and then we could link up easily. But after graduating from high school, everyone started going to different schools, working different schedules, figuring out their own lives. One of my friends moved to Ottawa, one of them moved to BC, and then one of them moved to Hamilton. So we were just all around the place. And even though we still talked all the time, every single day in the group chat, it became harder to get everyone in the same place at the same time. So in August of 2021, we decided to take our first trip together. And this was a little 2-day trip at Niagara Falls. And looking back at it now, it sounds really small, but at that time it felt pretty big, because that was our first trip, linking up, and getting out of the area that we were used to. Because it was the first time where it really hit that life was changing, but we didn't really take it in at that point, you know? Like we weren't just a group of guys seeing each other every day anymore. Now it was group chats, trying to plan around schedules, figuring out things such as logistics, booking hotels, etc. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was basically us realizing that adulthood was starting. We're starting to become adults at that point. But in 2022, an even bigger group of us went to Niagara again. So originally when we went, it was 4 of us. In 2022, it was 5 of us. And this trip felt even better than the last trip. There's a lot of memories made on that first trip, but the second trip, an additional person, which means more memories, more storylines, etc. 2022 was also our last year all working together at the same place. So we didn't even realize it, but that trip kind of ended an era for all of us. We weren't able to travel in 2023. We weren't able to all link up. This was a really busy year for all of us. So our trips resumed in 2024. 7 of us, we went to Ottawa. And this one was crazy because it was almost a whole group chat. We were just missing one person. Shout out Kian. 2024 showed me that even though everyone's life was changing, we still found ways to make time for each other. This was a really cool trip because when we went to Ottawa, we stayed at my one friend Bess's apartment at the time, and it was like 8 of well, it was 7 of us plus Bess's roommate, so it was 8 of us in one apartment. It was absolutely terrible. We'll never do it again. We'll never go to Ottawa again. But yeah, it was a fun trip overall. And then in 2025, we finally did it. All 8 of us made it out of the group chat and we went to Niagara Falls together. And I think part of what made that trip so good was the fact that everybody was there. There was a lot of memories made, a lot of storylines, a lot of fun, honestly. The older you get, the harder it is to plan and get the entire friend group there. So that was really cool, and because that was able to happen, I just really appreciate that trip overall. But yeah, that's the end of our travel history as friends. But yeah, everything kind of built up to this moment from those Jamaica trips with my girlfriend to those little trips with my friends. Um, but yeah, I still gotta finish packing. I packed most of the things, but I'm probably gonna get like one extra shorts or so. I might get like an extra shirt. I don't know yet. But yeah, if you made it this far, I appreciate you.